Good morning guys, my name's Alfie Willingham and you join me here today at my local day ticket lake in Essex. It's a snaggy little venue and the carp really do like to spend their time in the edge, right under the trees and branches, so we're going to have to fish to the snags to try and catch them, and I'm going to show you today exactly how to do that. Snag fishing can be a really exciting and rewarding way to catch carp, but it's important we follow a few guidelines to make sure that the fish we hook actually sees the back of our landing net. It's the middle of January now and the water temperatures are pretty cold, but snag fishing can be productive all year round, so this is a tactic that you can apply at any time of the year. Now let's take a look at some of the golden rules when it comes to snag fishing. It's really important that you use the correct setup when it comes to snag fishing. Today, for instance, I'm using a beefy rod, 3.5 pound test curve, and I'm also using a 15 pound main line. I'd probably start at a 15 pound main line as a minimum when it comes to snag fishing, but I wouldn't hesitate to move up to the 20 pound breaking strain if the situation demanded it. So I'm using a strong rod, strong line, but it's also very important that your end tackle is up to the job as well. Rig choice is a personal preference, but you do have to make sure that your hook length and hook are up to the job. You want a really strong hook because at the beginning you're not going to be giving that carp any line and you need to get him away from them snags as quick as possible. Today I'm using one of our new pinpoint brute hooks, which is a hook designed exactly for snag fishing. It incorporates an increased wire gauge so I know that when I get that bite that the hook isn't going to straighten. And today I'm using it slip D style with one of our new medium-sized kickers. As I'm snag fishing, I need to make sure that my rod is secure. For that reason, I'm not using a pod or buzz bars, I'm using single sticks. With single sticks I can get them in the ground securely and there's no chance of the buzz bars twisting or the rod pod being pulled in. I always like to have the rod pointing at where the rig is placed, as this gives me the best possible indication. It also means that there's no play, as the rod tip can't bend round and give that fish a yard or so where it could get into the snags. Because I'm snag fishing, I'm fishing locked up. Now what this means is that I'm tightening the clutch on my reel to as tight as it can go, and I don't want the fish to take any line on the take. Sometimes takes can be very violent, so I need to make sure I'm not losing that rod. To do this, I make sure I'm fishing with the single sticks, but I'm also using one of our butt locks and also the siren R3 alarms, which incorporate built-in snag ears. I want to be fishing as close as possible to the snag, but I do need to make sure that I'm fishing it safely as well. Before I attach the rig, I'll have a lead about to make sure that the area is clear of any underwater obstacles. I'll then clip up so that when I do attach the rig, I know that I won't be placing it straight into the tree. Obviously I want to get it as tight as possible, but still fish safely. Another really important aspect of snag fishing is to make sure that you stay on your rod. It's not a time for socialising your mate swim or having a walk to check other areas, as you don't know when that take could come. You need to stay close to your rod at all times so that if you do get the bite, you're ready quickly. So if you do get a bite, the first thing you need to do is pick that rod up and walk backwards. You don't want to be able to give the carp any line, and you need to make sure that it's clear of any snags and out into the open water. Once it's clear from the snags, you can then play it as if you were in any other normal fishing situation. Something you should certainly avoid when snag fishing is slack lines. Now if you were to fish a slack line, you're giving that fish not only extra movement to get in the snag, but you're also delaying the indication that when something happens at the rig end, you want it to be directly happening at the alarm end. I'd also avoid using backleads, as this doesn't put you in direct contact with the fish and it could give that fish that extra little bit of play to make it into them snags. Today I'm using a lead clip setup, so if the lead was to touch any of the woodwork underneath the surface, it will eject, as fish safety is paramount. Successful snag work is about fishing with strong tackle and preventing the carp from taking line in the first place. A good snag angler isn't just fishing for bites, you want to land every fish that picks up your rig.
And there we go, the perfect example of what can happen when you fish the snags, not only effectively but also safely. By employing a tight line, the fish had no give, no movement to go into the snags, and within seconds I was playing it in open water safely into my landing net. Hopefully what I've shown you throughout this film you can employ in your own fishing, and you'll be catching fish just like this when you're on the bank.